right, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate everyone's time. So, kind of yesterday we talked about it with the shotgun episode. If you listen to my podcast, I went into a lot more detail on that. Again, they're pretty short episodes. You can find me on Spotify at Intro into Hunting if you're watching the YouTube video, and same for on iHeartRadio. It's the introduction or Intro into Hunting podcast presented by me. So I decided I didn't really give a whole lot of information, so I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit more, specifically in regards to pertaining to what to do if you run across a snare and you are panicking, your dog's panicking. There's no other options. Again, there are a ton of videos out there on how to disable a snare, but I could not find any that were a head-to-head comparison of what I had spoke about, which are these Crescent brand miniature bolt cutters, and specifically these. These are DeWalt fencing pliers. The only reason I picked these is they were heavier. They're the heaviest ones there, so that was kind of the judgment I used in order to decide which ones I was going to get. Not necessarily any scientific anything behind them. It made sense in my head, so it's what we went with. Again, these Crescent miniature bolt cutters are the low price of $17.99, and these DeWalt fencing pliers are $27.99. And I do recommend whatever comes out of this video, that be something that you add into your upland game or your dog hunting bag. What I have here is a piece of 3/16 cable, okay? The reason I chose 3/16 is it's the largest cable I could find that you're allowed to use as a snare. Okay, it's pretty substantially sized. It is a piece of stainless steel 3/16 cable. It's not a snare, it's not anything like that. It is a solid piece of cable. So we're gonna go ahead and start with these Crescent little miniature bolt cutters and see how they do. So 3/16 cable, Crescent miniature bolt cutters, a little bit of pressure, and it doesn't seem to really want to go through them all that easy. Again, I'm trying at the end. Maybe if I try it a little bit down, I can get through them. There we go, a little bit. It took a little bit of pressure to get started. And what I'm doing right now, you can't really see it, but I am spinning it and using my leg as a brace, and it's starting to go through it. Okay, it's not going through it real well. There we go. There was a good cut there. There's another good one, and there's another good one. So we did get through it, and by my accounts, that took us about 45 seconds. Now, the reason timing is important in this is the article I was reading, and the reason we're doing this test says you have about a minute with some of the best snare traps on the market in order to get it off your dog. And it doesn't look like it's tore up my miniature bolt cutters, so that's good. Now we're going to try the DeWalt fencing pliers and see how they do. So I'm going to open it up, put it in there, and it barely fits, and I'm going to push and see if I can get it to cut them. There we go. And it did indeed cut them. There's a few little strands hanging on there, but it did in fact cut it a little bit quicker. It did take a ton of effort. It was not easy to do, but it did cut them a little bit quicker. Now, the only thing I have to say, and again, it doesn't look like it did any damage at all to my DeWalt fencing pliers, so that was a good test. $27.99, $17.99. Now let's talk about these for a second, okay? In my right hand, I have the Crescent miniature bolt cutters. They're very small. They're not much bigger than a set of pliers, and they did work fairly well. Again, especially for their size. The other thing is there is room to get a bigger cable in these. They might not work as easy as you would like, but they do cut it. I'm going to see if I can get it any quicker on this guy right here with spinning it or whatever, getting it a little closer to the bottom. Yep, there we go. So getting it all the way in the bottom, making sure that it's all the way closed, rotating it, cutting it, spinning it. There we go. All right. So again, they do work, okay? And they're small. The DeWalt fencing pliers definitely worked faster, definitely cut it cleaner. However, they're substantially larger. If you're watching this on the Squatches Shenanigans YouTube channel, the DeWalt fencing pliers are, I almost want to say they're very close to double the size of the miniature bolt cutters. The miniature bolt cutters did work, okay? They did in fact work. There's very little damage to them, and they have a lifetime warranty. So if I start to see that there's any damage, I'm just going to take them back and get a new one. I couldn't see any more damage on the DeWalt fencing pliers. And the DeWalt fencing pliers do have more on them than the Crescent miniature bolt cutters. I would 100%, after reading that article, I will never be going in the woods without one of these two things inside of my game vest on my person ever again. Okay, you only get a minute. Like I said, it's very rare that you're going to run into anything a minute from your truck, a minute from your four-wheeler, a minute, and it's really 30 seconds because you have to get there and you have to get back. I don't think you're going to make it. If you're on a clock and you're on a timer and something's happened and you're trying to get your dog loose, I just don't think you're going to make it. These need to be added. And again, this is not a video coming after trappers. This is not a video coming after people who are running dogs, okay? If you have time and your dog is of the demeanor that you have the ability to disengage that snare and not have to cut it, please do that, right? Like that's might be somebody's livelihood, but you also need the ability that if it's not going to happen, you got to be able to get your dog out of it. And I started thinking about it last night too, and it's not just for snares, right? Like almost everywhere I hunt, there's fences, there's barbed wire laying around there, there's old cable laying around. Having something like this on you does not add a whole lot of weight. It's going in the pocket of my game vest, right here. It's going in the front pocket of my my game vest. Okay, it's where it's going to live from this point forward. And I am taking the miniature bolt cutters, and they're what's going to live in the pocket. The fencing pliers will live in the truck. And if I ever make it somewhere where I think I have a higher likelihood of having to cut a dog out or having to cut something like that off of my dog, at that point I'm going to break out those fencing pliers and they're going to go in the vest. Right now, not a real high likelihood, not where I hunt, not super common, never ran into it, never had a dog get hung up. That's why I'm going with the miniature bolt cutters. They're a lot smaller. If I ever make it to a western state after that test, 3/16 cable, we'll do it again. Just see how long it takes, right? Got it in there, got a good grip, and I'm gonna push it against my leg. Cut it. Okay, you gotta rotate it a little bit, squeeze it again, it just falls apart, 2 cuts. And I think that took a little bit longer, and again, that was a shorter piece. It started to give out on me. And I'll show you the pieces. I'm reaching over to pick them up right now. So these are what is left, okay, of using the DeWalt fencing pliers to cut it. So they do go through it. It did take a lot more effort than those little bolt cutters did. I'm not going to lie to you. You'll need to be able to operate them, okay? And again, 3/16 cable is the largest you are legally allowed to use. That was the highest amount of cable I could find for use in the United States in any kind of a snare trap. So I really recommend adding one of the 2 of these tools into your vest, on your person, easily accessible. You can't bury them in a bag. You won't get them out in time to save your dog. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope that this can help you out. If it does, please let me know. I'd absolutely love to know that my videos are making any kind of a difference in either the life of your life or your dog's life. Thanks guys so much, and have a good day.